similarities. We're going to make a whole proof. So this first one is probably the longest one that you will see. You will not have to do one like this for homework, but I want to make sure I do the hardest ones for you. Okay? So we're starting out with ABC is an isosceles triangle, and XYZ is an isosceles triangle as well. And then angle B is congruent to angle Y. So who knows what isosceles mean?
Two sides are the same.
Two sides are the same. Okay? So for ABC, I know AB and BC are congruent to each other. And for XYZ, I know XY and YZ are congruent to each other. And I know this because angle B and angle Y are congruent. And if those are congruent, those two sides on either side have to be congruent to each other. Okay. All right, so now we're going to start with a proof. We know that this is going to be what? How am I going to prove the similarity? Remember my three options? Angle, angle, side, angle, side, or side, side, side. This is going to be side, angle, side for this one, right? So we have a side, an angle, and a side. Okay, so first, number one, we're going to have triangle ABC is an isosceles triangle. And that's given. Okay, we have to say what it means for the isosceles triangle. So step 2, we're going to have to say AB is congruent to BC. And this is by definition of isosceles. Okay. Step 3 is my next given. Triangle XYZ is an isosceles triangle. And this is by given. And then step 4, same kind of thing. We have to say those two sides are congruent to each other. X, Y, you should really be writing this down, is congruent to YZ by definition of isosceles. Okay, I know we have sides that are congruent to sides, but it's the same triangles. So our next step is we have to talk about that they're proportional before we move on to our next given. So step 5, we're just going to say AB over segment XY is equal to BC over YZ. We're just going to state that they're proportional to each other. And this is by definition of congruency. If they're congruent to each other, they're proportional and equal to each other. Okay? Now, step 6 is where I'm going to take my other given. B is congruent to Y. That's given. And then I can finally use my last step, that the triangles are similar by side, angle, side. Okay? So again, your proofs are going to be more like your fill-in-the-blank proofs from yesterday. Today they're going to be like 2, 3, maybe at most 4 steps long. This was a 7-step proof. You will not have one this long in your homework for tonight. All right, let's turn it over.
Wait, hold on.
I'm sorry. Okay, so we're going to turn it over, and we're just going to solve for an unknown side. So I'm going to do A, and then I'm going to have you guys try B, okay? So I'm going to do 5 over what? What would go with 5? H. And I'm going to go 6.5 over 91. And then it's just simple cross multiplying. We get 6.5H equals 455. Then we're going to divide both sides by 6.5. And I get H equals 70. Okay. All right. Why don't you guys try B on your own? I'll give you a minute. Try B on your own. All right. So for B, we should have h over 25, right? Equals 7 over what? This is the tricky part.
Wait. For the other one, you know how you put 5 over h?
Yeah.
Instead of h over 5 and then the
Right. No. I like to do small over big. I think that looks better. So that's why I did small over big. That's why I did small over big. Okay, so what goes on the bottom? This is tricky. Is it 28?
28 plus 7.
It's 28 plus 7, so it should be 35, because I want that whole length of that triangle. Okay? Cross multiply, and I get 35h equals 175. Divide both sides by 35, and I get h equals 5. Okay, the next problem is probably one of my favorite problems for the whole year, because you guys know how you all ask me, Ms. Murphy, when am I going to use this in real life? This I've actually used more than once. Okay? So when might you use this? So it's asking how tall a tree is. What if you needed the top of the tree cut off because you were afraid it was going to fall down and break your house? What if you needed your roof done and they said, okay, how tall is your roof though? Because if it's over so many feet, I'm going to charge you extra because it's more dangerous to be up higher. How tall is the flagpole? You know, because we need to make sure that we have a flag that is big enough for people to see, and if your flagpole is so big, we need a bigger flag. Okay? These are all real case things. If it was nicer outside and if we had time, I actually have a bunch of mirrors and we could go try this outside. So what this person is doing, let's say this is, I know this is a silly looking person, but let's say this is a 6-foot person. He's trying to find the height of a tree. So he puts a mirror down in between. He says, okay, I can measure between me and the mirror is 2 feet. Between the mirror and the tree is 24 feet. I know that I'm 6 feet tall. How tall is the tree? I've literally had to do this problem before in real life. Okay, so you're just going to say, yeah, or 6 over x. Either way is fine. If you want to do x over 6, same thing. Equals 2 over 24. Now remember, if I put x on top, x over 6, I'd have to put 24 over 2. Yep. Then you just cross multiply. 6 times 24 is 144. 2 times x equals 2x. Divide both sides by 2. X equals 72 feet. You can also do this with shadows if you don't have a mirror. You measure your shadow, you measure it would look more like this problem up here. Where it'd be like your shadow, like you're standing here, this is how long your shadow is, the tree's right here. This is the tree's shadow, would be the whole thing. You can figure it out. I don't know about you guys, I don't have a 72-foot ruler, right, or measuring tape. So this is how you need to do it. Okay? I like this problem so much, you can pretty much count on one like this being on your test. Okay? So that's one of my hints. All right, you have the rest of the hour to work on those proofs. There's 8 of them, but remember they're very short. So I would get started on those right now so you can ask questions in class. Okay? Yep.